You know, I gotta give credit where credit is due. This is one of the rare instances that I'm actually glad to have been proven wrong, and the funny thing is, Xbox is the one to prove me wrong. Because today we're going to be talking about the Xbox showcase that happened on Sunday, and I gotta say, I am extremely impressed with what was showcased here. This is the best showcase Xbox has ever had, and it is a genuinely new high for the franchise and brands in general. I am not even being hyperbolic. It is legitimately a genuine high for these brands, and I am extremely happy that this was the case. Going into this, expectations were very low, but given how Xbox needed something like this, especially with the recent news beforehand, fans were worried that they weren't going to be able to deliver. But sure enough, they did. And I can't actually believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually really excited for a Call of Duty. And that's saying something. When you get me excited for not only that, but other franchises that I've never touched or barely touched beforehand, then that's a damn good showcase. But I'm not going to delay this any further because I want to dive right into what exactly made this extremely special. And the title of this video is going to be very simple. To me, Xbox brought gamers together again, like the old school E3 days of old. So, yeah, without further ado, let's just go ahead and dive right into this.
World premiere.
Like I said before, full disclosure, I had very little expectations going into this because of the current last couple of news articles that I read before about studio closures and just the total misdirection and whatnot. So you can just imagine my absolute shock when I saw this. Talk about an opening to a show. The first thing they showcased was Doom, The Dark Ages, and it looks absolutely phenomenal. I cannot believe that this is how they start the show off. I mean, there's just so much to unpack just from that small trailer alone. They gave Doom Guy a cape, which looks badass. They gave him a shield that doubles as a chainsaw, and they gave him a gun that shoots skull shrapnel. What's not to like? I mean, seriously, one of my favorite games of all time is Doom Eternal, so expectations for this are extremely high considering how good Doom Eternal was. I recently just downloaded that on the Steam Deck, and I'm surprised at how well optimized that game is, and I really hope that Doom The Dark Ages follows suit. But there's just so much to unpack in this. You get to ride on mechs, you can ride a dragon. What is id Software cooking here? But it's some damn good stuff, it looks like. I'm so excited for this. Doom The Dark Ages looks absolutely phenomenal, and I can't wait for whatever news comes up, because if the game looks that good as the gameplay looked then, imagine how much better it's gonna look later. I can't wait. I can't wait. Alright, so the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to talk about specifically the highlights of the show. These are the games that particularly took my attention extremely quickly, despite me having very little expectations. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into those real quick. So the first game we're going to be talking about, and easily the biggest surprise of the showcase, and my personal most anticipated game of 2025 next to Doom The Dark Ages, is Clair Obscure's Expedition 33. Holy shit, does this game look phenomenal. And that's saying something for a turn-based RPG. You guys know me, I'm not usually that much of a fan of turn-based RPGs. That's why Baldur's Gate 3 was so good. But this game looks like a game that I'm going to be buying day one, and not just downloading it on Game Pass. So, the premise alone is what drew me in. It's a story about a paintress who, once a year, paints a cursed number counting down. The current number is 33, and those who fall under the age of the specific cursed numbers dies that year. And so now it's up to a group of people to stop the paintress so that she never paints death again. What a concept! I never expected such a clever little premise. The art direction and graphics alone also just completely caught my eye, and I'm not even talking about the soundtrack. The soundtrack from the trailer and also the couple of videos that they uploaded on YouTube. Holy shit, man. I cannot wait for this release, and I will be very glad to see if this game will be successful. I will definitely be keeping an eye out on this game. Another game that completely caught me by surprise, but it's an incredibly welcoming surprise, considering how this particular game was in development hell for quite some time. We finally get a showcase of Perfect Dark. Not just a CGI trailer, but also what looks like gameplay. And it looks really, really cool. Before this, at the time of this recording, I downloaded the previous Perfect Dark games because of this trailer alone. The game looks phenomenal, the gameplay looks fun, and just all of it just seems like they actually finally have something that looks fully realized. I hope it really is what we showcased here, and I'm really excited for what's to come. Also, the reactions to this game? Relative calmness. Yes! Another great surprise that they showcased towards the end of the show was Gears of War E-Day. And they showed us specifically a rendered actual in-game assets trailer, and if that's what it's gonna look like, hell, I'm extremely excited. Gears of War E-Day looks like it's going to be a prequel that's set 14 years before the events of Gears of War 1. And I gotta be honest, because of this trailer, I actually also went back to download the old Gears of War trilogy and play those before we got into E-Day. Because man, was it cool to finally see Gears come back in a much better light, considering 4 and 5 usually weren't that well received. But the biggest thing I got, the biggest takeaway, was that they really could pull a Halo Reach with Gears of War. I mean, think about it. Both franchises have a trilogy that's beloved by everybody, both have sequels, 2 of them that aren't really well received by the general public, and one has a prequel that is the best out of all of them, in my opinion. So they easily could do this with Gears of War E-Day. And also, like I mentioned before, the reactions to this trailer were, I'd say, pretty tame, to say the least.
Oh, my camera fell. My camera fell. They listened to me, you guys. They fucking listened. Oh my god.
But despite all that, I'm extremely stoked for what Coalition's gonna do with Gears of War. I really hope this is a good turnaround for the franchise, because it really needs it, I feel. And now, real quick, I'm going to talk about specifically the duds of the show. These are the games that really didn't catch my eye enough, or just looked like it's going to be not really a flop, but more so it's just not going to really be played by a bunch of people. So, the first one is going to be Dragon Age the Veilguard. And I talked about it with friends of mine who are fans of Dragon Age. It does seem to be very mixed. But for the most part, it does seem to be a bit more on the negative side. So, yeah. The biggest thing, though, is that it just didn't feel like Dragon Age. And I wasn't sure exactly how to point this out, because some people say it looked like Fortnite, some people say that it looked too very different from how Dragon Age originally plays. But personally for me, I think this is probably just me, but Dragon Age the Veilguard to me feels very live service, if that makes sense. Like, instead of trying to create a game that's relatively faithful to the Dragon Age franchise as a whole, instead EA or someone at BioWare just forced them to try to create a greed-fueled live service. I really hope that's not the case, but that's just the vibes I got from the trailer. The gameplay they revealed that they showed did not help things at all either. So, hey, we'll see what happens, because it's coming out fall 2024, so we'll see what happens. I'm not very hopeful, though, but we'll see. Another game they showed that really didn't interest me all that much was Mixtape. And again, it's one of those instances where I don't really understand why. Maybe it's because it just doesn't look like it's my cup of tea. It doesn't look like something that would catch my attention for very long. I mean, it's a cool idea, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, I just don't feel that very optimistic about it. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. And then the other one, the best out of all of them to me, and one that I still need to see more of, is South of Midnight.
A black female protagonist.
This particular game I've had my eye on for quite a bit, and I do know that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved with this title, but despite that, I honestly think that I need to see more of this. They showed a little bit of gameplay, but it just didn't really get me engrossed of what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with how the gameplay looked at first, or something else entirely, but I just hope that this game's actually good. One thing I want to point out that I actually do like, though, is the art style choice, particularly the animation. The animation is very similar to movies like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, as well as Into the Spider-Verse, where the characters are animated in twos, I think is what it's called, I believe. But I actually really like this kind of animation style. It's a unique choice. A lot of people say that it was a frame rate issue. I'm like, no, it's just a developer choice. It's a stylistic choice. So hopefully this is good. Maybe I'll give it a shot once it comes out, but it's just, as of right now, I need to see more. I also gotta mention that the World of Warcraft update that they showcased, I feel like the whole thing would have been so much better if they showed how it was gonna go to consoles. You know, just imagine it. A new expansion comes out, and it's come out day one on PC as well as Xbox, and also have it tied to Game Pass. I think that alone would get people to flock to more Game Pass numbers, you know? So, a part of me just thinks that this World of Warcraft update, while it's still cool, the trailer was awesome, because they harkened back to the older World of Warcraft cinematics, but I just wish there was more. I wish that they also announced that it was coming to consoles. But that's just me. Oh, here's another game I didn't really care much for the fact that they showed. Assassin's Creed Shadows. They showed more gameplay for this game, and to me, it could just be my fault because I loved the game that I'm going to mention so much, but the combat to me, specifically Yasuke's combat, felt more like we got Ghost of Tsushima at home. And that's not to say that the game's going to be bad. It probably will be, considering it's Ubisoft, and I don't trust Ubisoft. But I do feel as though that the gameplay doesn't really interest me. And that's not even talking about the controversy surrounding the game. But honestly, the biggest thing is that remember that they're doing all this controversy just to hide the fact that the game's going to cost $130 fucking dollars. So don't give them that type of day, in my opinion. Remember this. Starfield also got an announcement of an expansion, and I once got a comment in one of my community posts asking if I should give my opinion on Starfield. And one day I might. I'm not sure yet, because I did play Starfield for a couple of hours and really never went back into it. And that's just because Bethesda's RPGs aren't really my brand of RPGs. Maybe it's just me. The only real one I played was Fallout New Vegas, and that's not even developed by Bethesda. It was Obsidian. But one day I'll probably give Starfield another shot, considering how Shattered Space looks very supernatural horror type of stuff, and that's my bread and butter. So hey, we'll see. We'll see. Another thing that I kind of noticed is that, while it's appreciated, I kind of noticed how they really drew attention to franchises or games that I really didn't care about. Like, they showed an update for Sea of Thieves, they showed an update for Fallout 76, they showed an update for Diablo 4. The cinematic was really good and very brutal, but I just don't care for any of these. I don't care for any of them because I stopped playing Diablo 4. Fallout 76 was a trash fire. Sea of Thieves, I've heard it's pretty good now, and it's the most sold game on PlayStation 5 right now. What does that tell you? But I just really didn't care for any of these updates. I feel as though, especially Fallout 76, I feel like at this point they should have announced a new Fallout. But considering that Starfield was their newest game, so we'll see. We'll see. Life is Strange is getting a new game. It's called Double Exposure. It looks like we're going to have the original main character back, Max Caulfield. And that's really exciting because I liked the original Life is Strange, so I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on that one. Age of Mythology Retold got announced. This looks cool. I don't care for strategy games, but there's clearly an audience for those, so I'm happy for those that are excited for it. I know which one in particular, cough cough. Flight Simulator got another update, which again I don't really care for. But one of the biggest things I was extremely appreciative of was the new IPs that got announced. For example, Atomfall, which looks like a British Fallout, so that's definitely interesting. Flicklock Siege of Dawn looks really cool. Winterboro is kind of a cute little game that's really nice looking. Fragpunk looks really cool. It's a 5v5 hero shooter, but the rules change. That's actually a really cool premise, and I'm going to keep an eye out on that one. Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater got a trailer. It looks absolutely incredible. I don't 100% trust Konami with that one, but we'll see what happens there. Wu Chang, Fallen Feathers. This looks really cool. It looks like it's another Souls-like in a world where there's like 60 other Souls-likes every year. You could make like 100 Souls-likes every single damn year, and I wouldn't care because the genre is just that much fun, and they experiment so much on that. So, yeah, definitely gonna keep an eye out. And then they showcased a trailer for Indiana Jones: The Great Circle. And maybe it's just me, but the more that I see of this game, the more optimistic I become. I heard also that the developers harken it back to the old days of Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade, which I really hope for, because the last thing I need is another Dial of Destiny in terms of story and character writing. That's the last thing I expect. So I am very optimistic about this one. It's made by the developers of Wolfenstein, so I am extremely excited for what they come up with. Troy Baker does a really good job also as Harrison Ford's character, so that's also a plus. We'll see how this goes. I can't wait. Avowed looks really good, to nobody's surprise. It's like I mentioned before with Indiana Jones, every single time a new trailer comes out, the better it looks. Stalker 2 looks absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to get my hands on that one. Mecha Break looks phenomenal. And the last thing they showcased at the very end of the show was Black Ops 6. And I gotta say this, I'm actually really excited for this. The whole development, the showcasing of the development was really cool. And how they were adding really new innovations to the game. For example, Omni Movement, which you can now start moving like Max Payne. There's actually going to be regular prestige, like in the older COD games, which is really good. Zombies is going to come out with 2 round-based modes, or maps, I should say. And the more I just watch it, the more just optimistic I become. I shouldn't be, because Activision has always had a bad reputation when it comes to COD games, but I think out of all of the developers that they have, I trust Treyarch the most. They have their blunders, sure, but I definitely can see that they were really trying to put a lot of effort into Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I really hope that this turns out to be a really, really, really good one. So, and the last thing that I'm going to talk about is Fable. I don't have that much history with Fable. I might go back and play some of the older games, but this actually looks pretty good. I would definitely need to see more gameplay of it, though. But yeah, I'm very interested in see where they're going to take this. The only thing it looks like that they're going to do is have a preset character, and I'm not sure how I 100% feel about that. Hopefully they can be able to do character creators, and I feel like they might, but for now, I'm cautiously optimistic. And that's it. That's the Xbox Showcase. Originally, before I was making this video, I was debating whether or not if I could say that this was better than Summer Games Fest, because I still had that looming studio closure stink that was holding me back. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, okay, yeah, Xbox absolutely delivered in the things that mattered the most to most gamers. Summer Game Fest was great for indie developers, but this showcase was great for Xbox, which is what matters the most, especially given their iffy track record this current generation. And I originally want to now point back to the original point that I made in the video where I said that Xbox seems to have brought gamers back together, much like the old school E3 days. And what I mean by that is that it feels as though the reaction to the Xbox showcase, albeit some outliers, has been universally, it was pretty good. Seeing the amount of games that they announced and the amount of people that got excited for said games, the hype surrounded so many of them just felt like E3 all over again. And I think that's what's been missing when it comes to these kind of showcases. Just moments where they talk about and show games. Just show video games and get people excited for the future. And if I'm being for real, I actually am pretty excited for the future. This generation definitely feels like it wasn't as good as previous generations, but who knows? With these last couple of shows, there is some glimmer of hope. I really think that this is a good time for the generation to turn things around before an inevitable second crash happens. Will it happen? Time will tell. Maybe I'm a bit too optimistic about it. But one thing is for sure is that Xbox absolutely killed it this year. And I'm very happy. So yeah, that's about all I have for this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I kind of want to do more of these in the future, so if you guys want me to do more of these kind of videos, then let me know in the comments below. So yeah, more video game reviews are going to be coming very soon, I promise, especially just as Elden Ring's DLC is right around the corner. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace out, guys.